Looks like it's live, I think. Anyway, we'll soon see. Kia ora, g'day everybody. Not sure if this is live. I'm trying out the Riverside FM piece, which is what I usually use for screen sharing and stuff anyway, so I don't know if it's showing up live on YouTube because I'm in the Riverside link in, what's the name? Oh, chat. Hang on, here we go. Mana to everyone. Okay, got a salute from at DMC7756. Mana way to everyone. Is there any audio coming through, James? Or someone? the two of you that are there? Where is it? Well, I can't see anything coming through. So I don't know if there's any audio coming up for you. Rather than think, because I might have to end it if it says live to me. What's your time? Live and direct. Sweet. Is there any audio? Can you hear me or nah? Am I talking to myself and you're wondering, is this like a bad kung fu movie? Live and direct. Okay, maybe that means the audio is coming through. Norm 30-second delay. Oh, true. Stink. Okay, well, anyway, I'm going to jump into it now. So at least hopefully there's some audio coming through. Apologies for that. Trying out this Riverside stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But great to have you here. Those that are here and able to, thank you for that. Yogi Beer, loud and clear. Roger that. Appreciate your time. Friday, probably got much better other things to do than sit here, listen to me. But I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule anyway. Looking forward to the weekend, hopefully, and hopefully you've had an awesome week. Week has gone well for me so far. Busy but good. Anyway, some of the feel free to jump in with any questions if you have any, but I'm just going to chip away at the 10 or so questions that I've received. Some of them will hopefully be pretty easy to answer, I think anyway, and I'll go through these. So where are we? Let's get the first one up. So here's the first one. I've just put a little blurb at the bottom in terms of a summary of what it's about. So it's got here, and I'm not reading out the handles or the names of people that have put in the questions this time around, just because I wasn't too sure with some of them. But anyway, this one, cheers for giving your perspective on the war crimes allegations videos surrounding the Australian and UK SAS units, and for acknowledging your bias when it comes to the military and SAS in general. Yep, I definitely have a bias in a positive way towards the Defence Force and the SAS in general. That being said, do you find it uncomfortable reacting to the war crime allegations videos? And are you concerned with current or former SF guys telling you to leave that stuff alone? The latter one, am I concerned with current or former SF guys? No, not particularly. I think they've probably got better things to do. And I think, I'm using some license here. I'm presuming that they know that I have a positive bias towards the unit anyway. I don't think I'm out now of the unit, been out for a long time. So people ask me my thoughts around that, and people have, if I'm going to have a YouTube channel and if I'm going to put myself out there and talk about things and react to other videos, I think it's not bias. Bias isn't the word. I don't think it's right if I'm only going to react to things that I like. Don't get me wrong. There's a whole bunch of things that I choose to react to because I like them, but also I'm not fussed about leaning into stuff that does make me uncomfortable, which sort of leads into the answer to the first part. So the second part, I'm not worried about former SF guys. If guys do reach out, whether former members or current members, and they have an opinion or whatever, and they want to speak to me about it, or they want to say, hey, pull your head in or whatever, I'll gladly have a chat with them. But that hasn't happened, not that I'm aware of yet, touch wood, yet. But who knows? Maybe that's something that might happen. The first part, do I find it uncomfortable? Yeah, I'll be honest. Yeah, a little bit, because I don't know what the video is going to show. And, I don't know what's going to be said by the witnesses or whatever when it comes up. And I think partly because I'm protective, for want of a better term, of the unit. Well, you know, I'm biased towards it anyway. Like, is the unit perfect? Heck no. I think I've shared that many times, but it's a bloody awesome place. Best job in the world, I think. Anyway, my opinion. So that's um, that's the first one. Here's the first question that's come through. Two parts. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an answer. Uncomfortable? Yep, a little bit. And concerned with current or former members? Nah, hadn't even thought about it until I read your question. Um, where are we? Next one we've got here. Oh yeah, this probably two separate questions, but I just sort of combined them 2/3 and the Frontline Fridays. What made you start doing Frontline Fridays in the first place? Pretty much, the people that when I had memberships and people were, putting their hard-earned money towards the channel and supporting me in what I was doing, and then I wasn't delivering on that. I wanted to try to have something so that if people wanted to, they could still connect with me if they wanted to. They could ask questions, they could, interact, whatever. Um, have the chance to, I don't know, share their thoughts, their experiences about different things, and who knows where it might go down the track. That's actually one of the questions near the end. But that was the main reason why I started to do it. I wanted to, not lose the, I suppose, community, for want of a better term, that were kind enough, the people that were kind enough to support the channel, as I mentioned, through memberships, and didn't want to just cut them off altogether, pretty much. And then the next part, which sort of ties in with it, why do your weekly Frontline Fridays? This one caught me off guard, eh? Why do your weekly Frontline Fridays when you only have 4 or 5 people who tune in? Well, I was going to say 9, but it just dropped to 8. There's 8 people on there right now, by the looks of it, from what I can see. But yeah, why do it? I suppose a few thoughts come to mind for me for that. I mean, I suppose it's easy or easier to do things when I'm guessing when you've got a big following. I don't know. I'll tell you what, the YouTube channel and the following subscribers, for want of a better term, that's massive to me. That's in my book, that's a huge following. It may not be in the bigger scheme of things or in the real world, so to speak, but to me, that's huge. And I never expect, well, that probably ties in with the overall thought. Actually, I never have any expectations with regards to views, comments, likes, or new subscribers on the channel, regardless of whether I'm posting a video, a reaction, doing a Q&A, or uh, doing a live. So, I think, again, not that I know, but I think it'd probably be pretty easy to do a live when you've got a big following. It'd be probably easier to post videos when you've got a substantial following in that as well. But for me, I guess it's about posting that makes me uncomfortable, but it's about posting when you don't have those things, stepping outside my comfort zone and that sort of stuff, and just seeing where the cards lay. I like that. I've taken it from Rubber Kiwi 79 underneath my name. Success comes in the trying. I really love that reminder. So yeah, it might only be 4 or 5 people tuning in, but having zero expectations, not just doing it because there's a significant following, doing it because I enjoy it, and doing it because people have taken the time to, albeit maybe only a handful of people, but some people have taken the time to reach out, ask some questions, want to hear my thoughts on some stuff. And yeah, if I can, then I want to try to respond to those. So, I suppose a thought that comes to mind when I look at this question is that, I suppose anyone can stand beside you or with you when things may seem like they're going well, or when you're winning or successful, for want of a better term. But I guess, the real ones, they stand by you when you're blinking at ground level zero, like 0 followers or anything, when it doesn't look like it's going to be much, or that it's going to be very successful at all, or maybe when it looks like it's going to be certain failure. And you find the real ones stand by you in those moments, and it's cool. And there's been, a real consistent few that have regularly been at lives, that regularly post comments on the channel, etc. And I'm grateful for that. Um, yeah, it might be a handful of I'll use the term loyal few, but for those few, they definitely mean a lot to me, as opposed to 100 or more that might come in on a live when things maybe, for want of a better term, seem more popular or seem like it's going well, or if things seem like it's convenient. I'd much rather have the smaller handful, the 4 or 5 that are kind enough to support me here on this little channel anyway. So that's my take. Oh my god, what's this next one? Oh yeah, this one's nice and easy. I found anyway. So what do you attribute your channel growth to? People's kindness and supporting my channel. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's how the channel's grown, because of other people, and because people have been kind enough to support the channel. Some people, I bumped into a guy at the supermarket. I bloody forgot his name. Sorry about that, bro. If you're watching this, or if you watch it later, just at the Woolies here in towards Ascot, or towards Altair, the Woolworths supermarket, bumped into me. He started talking. He did say to me as we were talking, he goes, "Oh, I follow your channel because I haven't subscribed or anything." I was like, "Hey, what do you mean you follow the channel, you haven't subscribed?" But I didn't say that. I just thought that. But nice guy. It was good to have a chat with him. He was a bit of a hunter in that as well, and lives, from what I understand, lived locally in the area, lived in the Altair area anyway. But it was good to have a chat with him. But yeah, that's why the channel's grown, because people have been kind enough to support. Whether they've subscribed or not is a different story, but the support has still been there. So thank you. So this next one. Oh yeah. Um, what do you find harder, the physical training you do, or putting yourself out there publicly online? Yeah, definitely the latter, bro. Putting myself out there publicly. I think a combination of just my own personal insecurities, my own concerns and worries and fears around how I might sound, how I might come across, my lack of intelligence, for want of a better term, from an academic perspective, and all that sort of thing. All those things uh, are concerns for me, but at the same time, they're also, I suppose, tools, I might say, or use the term, tools for me to pick up and lean into them, and use them, if that makes sense, to try to confront that, to try to confront myself, and try to just get out of my own way, essentially. So yeah, pretty daunting, the latter side, more so than any physical training, at least at this stage anyway. I think, put it this way, doing free soloing, not that I've ever done that, that would be freaking daunting. And scary, to say the least, I reckon, anyway, not being a climber. So all of that sort of stuff, yeah, could potentially train up to do certain things like that, never to any sort of elite or high standard, but that would still be pretty daunting, I reckon. So there's definitely plenty of physical things, challenges, which are daunting, but in the context of this question, yeah, more the publicly online side of things, but trying to lean into it anyway. uh, where are we? Oh yeah. This was a interesting one. Again, not something that I've given a heck of a lot of thought to, but when I saw this question, it did make me think a little bit more. What do you hope to achieve with your channel from a content creation and audience engagement perspective? Um, yeah, that's a good question. So for me, I've been probably leaning more into enjoying the reactions, for one, doing it because I enjoy it, doing it because it gives me quite a cool level, personally, on a personal level, quite a cool level of personal freedom, to be able to do what I'm choosing to do and actually be enjoying it every day. So that's cool. But also, hopefully, like the little blurb, success comes in the trying, and the reminder from Rubber Kiwi 79, thank you for that, is that it's to try to show that it's all right to try things. I think I touched on this on other videos, or even maybe at the start of this, that it's all right to step outside your comfort zone and to not be very good. To It's okay to look and sound awkward. I say that, but inside I'm still thinking, oh man, I'm I probably sound pretty rubbish. But trying to, uh, yeah, just show that it's okay. Like just step into it. Remind people the same way that uh, Rubber Kiwi 79 spoke about. The success comes in the trying. So I really like that little piece, and I think I'm going to use that in a lot of stuff that I look to tackle or take on moving forward. Um, we can't fail when the success is in the trying. So thank you for that, Rubber Kiwi 79. What have we got? This next one. Oh yeah. How do you handle criticism or negativity online, especially when it comes from people in the defense community? You know what? That made me smile. I don't know. I can't think of anyway much criticism from people in the defense community. If they are criticizing or being negative, I don't know if they are, and they're coming through in the comments. I don't know if those are current or former serving members or not. Current serving members that I know, they've all been, well, at least to my face anyway. They've all been they've all been really kind and positive. So, yeah. So I that part around the defense community, if it happens, it happens. Nothing I can do about it. Like people have got their opinions and their perspectives, and as I've always said, opinions are like noses. Everybody's got one, and people have the right to express it and share what it is that they want to share, just like what I'm doing, giving my 2 cents on the reactions and stuff that I do, or trying to answer questions. So that side, nothing I can do about it. It's out of my control. How do I handle it? What is it? It's off the Avengers, the earthquake part on the what's a bloody name? The Endgame movie where what's her face? I shouldn't say that. The Black Widow character is sitting there, and the people zoom in on their blinking holographic thing, and there was an earthquake, and she asked, "How are we handling it?" And the Wakanda woman says, "We handle it by not handling it." So that's how I handle the criticism and the negativity. Put a laughing face sometimes, and I'll say, "Okay, mate," or "Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for taking the time to comment as well, mate." Something like that. Usually something sort of cheeky, and then just move on. Try not to dwell on it or think about it. If you do, it can be, it can probably be quite consuming, I would imagine. So yeah, just disregard it, move on. That's what I try to do anyway. Hopefully that happens, but yeah, time will tell. maybe the person or persons just haven't pushed the right buttons yet. um, anyway, what's that one? Next one. Where are we? This is around. Yeah, NZDF and ADF. Do you ever feel pressure to represent the NZDF or the ADF or the SAS community in a certain way, when you speak or react to videos? Um, do you feel pressure to represent? Uh, no, I don't feel any pressure to represent the NZDF or ADF or the SAS unit. Like I'm I'm honoured and privileged that I got to serve in those defence forces, and privileged and honoured to be able to serve in the Australian Regiment. But I don't feel any pressure to try to represent them a certain way or to try to speak a certain way. I speak the way I speak now. I used to speak different when I was in the New Zealand Defence Force, for sure. Basic training and infantry has sort of slipped into that rhythm of every second, third word was a F bomb this, F bomb that, and B this and B that, and everything else in between. And then I met my now wife, met my darling, and she made mention of a simple comment at the time, which was just basically along the lines of pulling me up in regards to the way that I spoke and that I swore a lot. And I never took stock or never took time to think about the words that were coming out of my mouth. Thankfully, I don't feel like I need to spend too much time trying to hold anything back. It's just thankfully, I think anyway, for me, thankfully, it's just become more of a natural way of speaking without needing to curse or cuss or swear or whatever. Don't get me wrong. If something really annoys me, yep, I'll let rip. But I try not to, if that makes sense. But when I'm doing the reaction videos or anything like that, I don't feel like I'm consciously thinking, oh no, I have to mind my P's and Q's here during this video. So, and the other part represent, yeah, probably that part. I don't feel any pressure to it, but I think it's, what's the word? It's, I think it warrants me being respectful of the NZDF, the ADF, the SAS in general, whether it's Australia, New Zealand, the UK, whether it's USSF, whether it's military in general. Like I said, it's probably part of my bias because of the respect I have for the military. And so whether it's New Zealand or a UK unit or an Australian unit or a Navy unit, if it's part of a defence force within, those boundaries, I'm always going to, well, I shouldn't say always, I'm going to try to be as respectful as I can with regards to what it is that I'm watching and the effort and the work and the sacrifice and the service that's going into those particular units or departments within the Defence Force by those individuals. So, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. That's my take on it anyway. Those that, yeah, like those that don't like that I have a bias towards the military and the SAS in general, well, they'll just move on and leave if they don't like it. So, anyway, um, next one. I can see that there's like a bunch of questions. I'm not in the chat part yet, so I can't actually read the questions yet, but I will go into it after. I'll just carry on with these questions. Oh yeah, this one here, proudest moment. What's been your proudest moment since starting your channel, big or small? Um, Proudest moment. I I think probably just starting the channel again from scratch, really. I Those that don't know, I had a YouTube channel before, just did some training stuff. I had the Epic Aotearoa podcast. I think that's still showing, but I don't have access to the back end anymore. My brother-in-law and I were doing that. He's an awesome dude. But he is managing his family and full-time work and travel for work and all that sort of stuff. And just, felt I was probably putting a bit too much pressure on him, as well as not really um, doing what I really wanted to do with the podcast itself. So I've done another video on that before in terms of why the podcast stopped. But yeah, probably just starting again from scratch, and just embracing the uncertainty of it all, embracing leaning into that little bit of anxiety and um, worry about other people's perception. And yeah, and could I lean into it and do it again? So yeah, it's not a major thing, but that's probably the proudest moment. There's heaps of other cool things that I'm stoked about, but yeah, for me, that part's probably the biggest one, and just getting out of my own way. Like I I was wanting to do it for a while, but I just kept tripping myself up and coming up with reasons and excuses as to why I shouldn't, as to why I couldn't. And yeah, then I just realized I needed to put that to the side. I was also trying to wait for just the right time, making all those basic mistakes. I guess they're basic or common mistakes, maybe I'll call them, whereby people that are really successful who talk about, just start. Don't worry about. There's never a perfect time to start. Just start. So I think I finally, the penny probably finally dropped for me, and then I decided to take it on board and get going. So that's that one. Where are we? Um, oh, yeah, maybe this ties in. Getting started. Um, this question come through. If someone's watching but doesn't feel good enough to start something, what would you tell them? What I just said in that other response, like get out of your own way, just start. There's no perfect time. So I know I've received some messages before, people looking to start a YouTube channel. I think we had the privilege of one guy, Jake, who did the conflict brief. He was doing such an awesome job with that channel, man. But then he put up a post around needing to step back from that due to work, etc., etc. But he was one of the guys, and then there was a couple of other people, and I was giving them some advice, which took me, I suppose, longer than I would have liked to have taken on board myself, but got there in the end and just made a start. So yeah, just get cracking. Um, Next one. Oh yeah, so there's always some selection questions that come through, and I will run through this one. I think there's one or two here. Yeah, there's a couple here in this week's Frontline Friday. So, how do you know when you're ready to attempt selection? you know, how do you know when you're ready? The key part in that question is you, and just get rid of the how do at the start. That's my take. And then when you're ready to attempt selection. It's interesting that you've put attempt selection. I think, well, not anybody, but in the terms of what I'll say here, anybody can attempt selection, given if your application to go on selection is approved, and you do all the follow the process and do everything that's required, and you get a place on the selection. Anybody can attempt it, but it's with regards to the selection, and I've spoken about this in other Q&As. I don't think that's the mindset to go into selection with. Go on selection because you want to be there and you want to serve. I've said that, I think, almost every time I've spoken about those that have asked a question about selection. Don't just go on it to give it a crack or an insight. If you want to give something a crack to get a taste of what selection's like, then maybe do the reckoning. Come do there you go. There's a plug for the reckoning right now. Do the reckoning instead. If you're unsure about whether or not it's for you, and you're not sure what that environment's like, how will you cope under stress, what do you like when you're put in charge and expected to lead, what are you going to be like when you're not getting any constant feedback, positive or negative, or maybe it's just mostly negative, how are you going to respond, are you a bare minimum guy, or are you somebody that looks to do extra, etc. Yeah, do the reckoning. Otherwise, my take, only go on selection if you are confident that that's where you want to be, and that's where you see yourself, and that's what you want to do for your career. That's what you want to serve as a soldier, as an operator within the unit. That's what I think you should do. um Question: how do you know when you're ready to attempt selection? I think probably in line with just starting stuff. I think you'll always probably have thoughts and feelings of, have I prepared enough? Have I trained enough? Have I done enough pack work? Is my navigation good enough? Is my basic soldiering skills, are they up to standard? Is it good enough? Have I got enough experience, both military and life experience? Like, you're always going to have, I think, those types of questions, depending on uh, how long you've been in the military. If you're somebody that's junior, like I was when I did the NZ one, or if you're somebody that's, you know, early 20s, or 20 or 21, 22, and you don't feel like you've got much life experience, I think that's probably a normal thing. But again, that's another part of taking that opportunity to display or demonstrate how you cope with that sort of your own personal pressure and stresses that you're putting on yourself prior to and during selection. So hopefully that makes sense, with regards to how do you know when you're ready to attempt. Interesting word choice selection there, attempt selection. I would reframe that personally and change it, not from attempt to go and pass selection, something like that. To go and serve in the unit is probably what I would frame it as. That's at least what I had framed in my head. I'm going to go and serve in the SAS. I didn't have it in my head as I'm looking forward to going and attempting selection. Anyway, that's my take. Um, the next one, yeah, okay. This one actually got me thinking a little bit, but in the end, it wasn't too difficult from my perspective. And the underestimating. So, what do people underestimate most about selection, in your opinion, or in my opinion? Um, I I think probably one of the biggest things that I found anyway in NZ and Australia is that people underestimate and or forget, maybe forget is more the word, but just they people forget just how resilient they are, just how um amazing our bodies are to be able to adapt to things. So the sleep deprivation, the lack of food or calories or energy, whatever you want to frame it as, the long distances that you need to cover, the weights that you're carrying. I think people underestimate and or forget, whichever word is the right one, you decide, just how capable they are, we are. And so people go on, my take, sometimes a number of people go on selection forgetting that, thinking that, yes, I've trained really hard, I've prepared really well, and they likely have. Sometimes they might not have, but that's a different story. But they likely have trained as hard as what they felt they've needed to get on selection. And then they're confronted with all the physical work and activity, and then the tasks and the information that comes. And sometimes you can write stuff down, other times you can't. You've just got to remember it. And then you've got to travel distances, and then you've got to remember what it was that you were told however many hours ago, and then apply it to that task when you're all on your own, or maybe you're in a small group, or maybe you've got a leader group to do that. That's more so probably in the Australian one. In NZ, maybe more the food and the physical exertion is probably what gets people. But at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get at is, yeah, I think people underestimate and forget just how capable they are. Like your body will adapt to, this is my take anyway, your body will adapt to not getting the food or the energy or the calories that you need to carry on, or that we think we need to carry on. They're really strategic and smart about how and when they do things on selection. And, you will get some food at key times when the directing staff and the course managers, etc., deem it appropriate based on what they know is tried, tested, and proven, and what's worked in the past, and what will continue to work to weed out those that don't have what it takes physically or mentally to carry on. So um, I think of an example like quite different, I guess, to the military, but there's probably those of you out there like me that have gone a whole day, sometimes more, without any food, without drinking anything, and come the end, and you've just been in the zone, just working. And come the end of the day, you still don't feel hungry, you still don't feel thirsty, and you feel like, man, I had a really productive day. I got through a mountain of work, just locked in, got it done, and I'm not hungry. I'm going to get cleaned up, or maybe going to do a training session if you hadn't already done one, and then you're going to get cleaned up, maybe go to bed because you're still not hungry. You figure, well, I'm not hungry, so no point eating just because it's nighttime and I haven't eaten anything all day. But I guess that's an example of maybe being just really in the zone and focused in on the work that you're doing. Selection may be a little bit different, because when you're covering all that distance and you're soaked in sweat and it's hot and you're tired, and you you can sort of feel your energy bar being depleted each day or each hour or between each checkpoint. It's probably not the same. You can probably be thinking about food a bit more, I guess. You're definitely chugging back fluids during that time. But just trying to, and maybe I'm not doing a very good job, but just trying to give some sort of correlation or comparison to just how capable our bodies are. Like we can switch off from the pleasures of daily life, for want of a better term. We can go without 3 meals, 4 meals, 5 or more meals over several days if we need to, and our body will look to take some energy from other parts of our body. For me, if it wants to, it's more than welcome to take it from my guts and take it from my love handles if it wants. But it seems to be leaving that alone. Why? Because, well, I'm giving it fuel to be able to use. So the old love handles and the guts can just stay there. So that's on me to sort that out. But yeah, anyway, I think that's probably one of the main things that people underestimate. Just how capable, resilient our bodies are, and with that, giving ourselves time and giving your body time to adapt to the stresses of selection. If you can hang in there, I think I'm not going to mention his name, but on the selection in 98 here in NZ, we left on day one, or technically day two of the selection itself, but day one of the open country navigation. One of the guys left well before me, and I ended up passing him. He was a senior soldier, ended up passing him. And when I come up beside him and was going past, he was, he said some kind words. He said, "Oh, well done." And I said something back to him. I was like, "Hey, how you going?" He goes, "Oh, I think I'm going to quit." And I just said, "Oh, just keep going." That was all I said. And then I carried on. So I was feeling good, carried on past him. He got to the end of day one, the checkpoint. And I thought, oh, he's probably going to ask the staff to be removed, but he didn't. And he stayed, and he completed selection. He passed. So, I think there's a tipping point in anything that we do. Selection, in my opinion, is no different. I think there's a tipping point for all of us whereby we get to a stage where we think we're done and we think we've got nothing left. And then if we're just willing to just stay in that miserable place, and I speak about it in the end of my wrap up messages about, it may be dark, lonely, miserable, etc. If we can just give ourselves a chance and just hang in there just that little bit longer, um, my experience, some pretty cool stuff happens from a physical perspective, from a mental perspective, and just being able to carry on. I'm probably not explaining it very well, but that's my take anyway. I think there's other people out there that probably explain stuff like this far better than what I'm doing right now. But anywho, that's my 2 cents for what it's worth. Um, where are we? What did I put here? Oh, yeah, actually, I made a little note here around this similar sort of question, and it was just in a wrap up part to that, what people underestimate about selection. And I just made a note here that failure to make the grade the first time doesn't mean it's over. And I think I've spoken about that a number of times, because there's a bunch of people that have openly spoken about how they failed selection the first time. And some of those people that failed selection, some of them, not all of them, some of them withdrew themselves. They would remove themselves from selection at their own request because they felt like they couldn't continue anymore. And that's okay. It doesn't define who you are. It doesn't mean it's over. And if you're willing to lean back into it again, the opportunity is there for the most part, unless you get a report from the instructors that say definitely don't try again. But I've spoken about this before. Like, if that's still in your heart and in your mind, and a year or two's gone by or longer, and you still want to be there, thinking the worst thing that can happen if you chuck in an application again is that they go, "No, we told you no. We've got you popped up on our system as a definite no. So no." Um, if that's the worst thing that can happen, if I was that person, I would chuck my application in again. And on the back end of that, there's a story from, or an experience, a story, for want of a better term, from my time in the Australian. Um, I wasn't in the unit. We were on cycle at this time, and it was during the patrol procedures course. And a guy by the nickname of Red, his surname was Redding. I think he was a free faller, A troop. Ended up in the same squadron as him, but he was in A troop and I was in C troop. Awesome guy. And I remember him, we were in the mess portion of where we were, a little tent city where we'd come back, debriefing, prep, orders, etc., before we go out on task as part of the patrol procedures. And I remember him asking me, and there was a bunch of us. It may not have been our whole cycle, but there was a bunch of us in the tents where we were, and him saying to me, "What was that selection actually?" I'm just wondering now. Maybe it was selection. It might have been selection. For some reason, I'm thinking it was patrol procedures because of the little tent city that we were in. And yeah, I think it was patrol procedures. Sorry about that, cycle. And he asked me the question, what would I do if I failed, like the cycle, or if I failed this course and got RTU? And without hesitation, I remember saying to him, I'll apply and look to go through it all again. And he didn't really say anything. He was just quiet. He just sort of nodded his head, and then that was it. That was the end of the conversation. I don't know what other people thought, what some of the other guys thought. Maybe some people thought, "Oh yeah, whatever," but that's where my heart and mind was. Like, I knew that it was a real possibility that I could have failed, and hence why I just mentioned, if you fail, that doesn't mean that it's over. If you want it bad enough and you're willing to just keep driving and willing to run into that brick wall, or what may feel like a brick wall, multiple times until you get to where you want to get to, and if it's worth it to you, then yeah, crack on with it, I say. Um, where are we? Last one. This is the last one on here, and then there's like 28 things in the chat, so I'll have a look at that after. Um, this one is around Frontline Friday's future. So here, hey Joe, enjoying the channel. I have missed or have not seen many of your Frontline Friday lives, but I've seen some of them. Where do you see Frontline Fridays heading? What's your vision for it a year from now? I haven't thought about it a year from now, bro. But yeah, definitely haven't thought that far ahead. But I suppose when I read that question, and then as I sit here and just look at the question, um, I still don't know. Frontline Fridays, like the reasons for starting it, to have that connection. I don't know. Open to suggestions. Um, what people think about it. There have been thoughts around, eventually doing interviews and stuff like that with people, because people have asked. I'd love to do that. That'll be down the track. But maybe Frontline Fridays could involve some of that. I'd love to. I'd love to have. I don't know if it's possible, but to have a live session whereby people that are supporters of the channel, um, or people that might just drop in, have an ability to be in on the video call itself. I don't know if that's possible. If anybody knows if that's a thing, let me know. Um, in case they want to be on video and ask questions and respond and give their take on videos. I don't know. Maybe people are just more comfortable doing the chat thing, putting their comments in. But that's something that interests me. I think if thinking about the Frontline Fridays, but I think hopefully as long as um, what's the word? Hopefully, one, as long as I'm still enjoying it, and two, hopefully it's adding some sort of value, even if it's only for 4 or 5 people that might join in on the live. Whether that's, I think some people can't see the live or don't watch the live until after, for whatever those reasons are, and maybe people just don't want to watch it because that's not what they subscribed or support the channel for, and that's 100% cool. So yeah, I don't really have um, grand plans for Frontline Fridays. It's just an opportunity to connect, and a space for me to answer some of the questions that come through via email, comments, or text messages, and even on Instagram. So I've been trying to check that a little bit more frequently, I suppose, and we'll see where that goes from there. The last part that I've got is just a bit of an update. So not sure how things will go, but there's a few things in the pipeline. The stuff with the police in Rotorua early December this year. As far as I know, that's still a go. They've sent me an itinerary anyway. They've been kind enough to sponsor, pay for my travel, accommodation, the time that I'm there. So return trips and that sort of thing, and accommodation. So looking forward to that. It'll be worth, from my understanding, it might change, but from my understanding, it's working with members of the Armed Offender Squad, AOS, and dog handler section, or I don't know if it's section or platoon. I don't know what term they use. I think it's dog handler section. So I don't know how many people that will involve, but they've asked me to go and do a bit of a presentation on high performance and a few other bits and pieces, give my take. I'll be making that as interactive as I can for them, and I've been enjoying putting that together. I'm just finalizing that over this month before I go there next month. The other update, two things. One is the search and rescue stuff. So hoping that I can get in there with one of the search and rescue helicopter teams close by in the area. I've got a good friend, ex-army friend, who's been working there for a while. I think a few years, 2 or 3 years there. I forget the term that he's used, the ACO, Air Crewman Officer, something like that, but highly skilled in medical stuff as well. He might be a paramedic, and then they've got doctors and the pilots and all that sort of stuff. So hoping to jack up something with them. I've heard some positive feedback so far from some of the people that look after their advertising and fundraising aspects of it, who sound interested and keen. They've just got to, go through what they need to do, and so everything will be on their schedule. Likewise with the police, work with their PR or media people to make sure that they're happy with before I go post anything. So I want that to go well, and be the same for the search and rescue. Again, just to sort of shine a positive light on the work that they do. Police get a lot of flack, man, for a very, very hard job. Search and rescue, maybe they don't get so much flack, but they do an incredible job. And there's some stuff there that, it'd be cool. Maybe it might inspire some people as a career pathway, for people that might not be sure about what they want to do, or maybe they might see it, some of the content and the work that they do, and hear some of the stories from some of those people that serve in that space. So that's that. And then the third one, I got contacted by a friend, I call him a friend, Tom over in Australia, who reached out and asked me. So I'm going to have a meeting on Wednesday, if I would be willing to be a part of. I think they're doing the Kokoda Trail or Kokoda Trek, Anzac Day next year, 2026. So that's obviously quite a long way off, but I better make sure I get some more training in. And but that's pretty cool. So I'll have a meeting with Tom and some of the other guys, some ex-regiment guys and stuff, and I think some police in there as well, and have a conversation with them. So he did speak about and queried whether or not there might be an opportunity, or whether or not there might be a former Kiwi operator that might be interested in coming on that trek, that walk. I think there's a number of spaces where there's ex-operators and then civvies, and sort of paired up and going on the trail. And from what I know at a high level, because we haven't had the meeting yet, that's happening on Wednesday, but the bits and pieces that he shared as a bit of a knowledge transfer piece. So I'm definitely keen. I said, yeah, hey, I've got nothing planned for that Anzac Day next year. It'll be a few days before and probably a few days after, during that, for that, to be able to do that trek, I would imagine. So I think I had a date down for the second reckoning in 2026 to be in April. Might have been early April. So if that does happen, I'll probably still be able to do that. And then the trail, or the Kokoda, probably be happening later that month, if it all goes ahead. So we'll see what happens. And yeah, looking forward to that. Other than that, still reaching out to other places and seeing if I can have an opportunity to go and participate in some of the stuff that they do, with various units, programs, etc. And still radio silence from from a lot of them. So that's all good. I'll just keep chipping away, and we'll see where things land, see what happens. So that's pretty much the update, with regards to the channel and how things are going. That's that. All right, chat. All right, let's 30 comments. Some of those are loud and clear. G'day from Queensland, Billy. Got you. Hey Joe, thanks for the response. Oh yeah, Christian. To my question, was definitely the first guy you mentioned from Glasgow. Sounds like a serious hard charger so far. Book is awesome, mate. That's awesome to hear. Yep, he is a hard charger, Christian. He's a very good man, and so yeah, he was a badged member of the unit over there, coming over from the SBS. Hey mate, how's it going, guys? That's Dan to everybody else, not to me. So that's cool. Oh, probably partly to me. Yes, going good, Dan. Thank you. Where are we? Sorry, I'm just trying to get back to the comments. Where am I up to? G'day from Queensland. Yep, Dan. Early days in the live chat sphere. Yep, for sure. That's a strange question. Yeah, it caught me by surprise. If you're talking about the 4 or 5 people in the live, yeah, I never really worried about it. I always thought, right from when I did a first test live, I thought there was nobody on there. Keep going. Thanks, brother. It's nice to see you at the same time every week. Cheers, Dan. Appreciate it. Strange question indeed, but it gives content. Yeah. What's this one? It's good to have regular slot uphold. The uploads must take to post up, but this is a good Solution live and direct. Nice. I never remember names unless they have a dog with them and I remember the dog's name. Cheers, Billy. Yeah, gold comment, all right, from James to William Keith. Billy, bugger that Alex Honnold stuff. Yeah, that guy's yeah, he's insane, eh? Just curious, do you follow a religion? No, I don't. At Lorc LORC Music 738. Nah, no religion for me, my friend. Uh at AWOL Stew, reconnecting the military family that gets fractured by life as gold. Yeah, that's a great comment. Thanks for that. Sorry, just reading through the comments now. Hey Joe, good to see you live. This is from at Joseph-YY1GD. How much time do you spend outfield as an SASR trooper? How much time do you spend outfield as an SASR trooper? If you're meaning field exercises and stuff like that, it varies. It just depends on what's happening. That I would say, what were we doing at the time? I'd say a fair amount of time, but it's mixed up with other stuff. So you got currencies that you need to maintain. So parachuting currency, not only on land but on the water. Shooting currencies. There's driving courses. There's patrolling techniques. There's different weapon systems that come in. A lot of time on the range. So guys getting into the range, you got the indoor kill house, the indoor 360, the 270, the open ranges, the sniper ranges, etc. So there's just lots of spinning wheels, lots of cogs spinning to stay up to date with that stuff, medical training and stuff that has to happen, and then combining those. So there might be a period of focus, week to week, month to month, and then culminate in a bit of a coordinated exercise of putting all of that together. So there might have been some CQB stuff, some shooting stuff, some driving stuff, some MOE explosive manual, some parachuting stuff, some boating stuff to get onto shore, etc. Doing those with the bundles out of the aircraft, and then that might culminate in a bit of an exercise where you put all of that together. And there's a warning order and a mission brief and all that sort of stuff, and then you go and implement all of that, all the training that you've been doing over those several weeks, and then culminates in a nice big exercise to do, which yeah, you end up being wet, cold, maybe miserable, maybe not so much miserable. I thought it was awesome. And then debriefs and stuff at the end, pack up, deservice, clean up, get ready to start the next phase. So yeah, is good fun. Different to battalion, if that's what you mean, if you're talking about the infantry side of things and time out in the field versus training as a trooper. The training as a trooper and time out field in the maybe the more traditional sense is very different to an infantry battalion. Put it that way. There's the stuff that I just spoke about there. There's a whole bunch of other working parts and things that you need to be capable and competent in to be able to do your job well. So there might be some days where there's just a heavy focus on pistol work, and you're putting a heck of a lot of rounds down range. You're training to the standards that you need to be able to meet for validation from a qualifications perspective, because you need to be able to meet those. And then you might be training in a whole bunch of different scenarios, single hand, non-master hand, um, excuse me, having one arm sort of secured or tied or slung so you can't use it, and then having to do one-handed stoppages and reloads and all that sort of stuff with the pistol, with a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's cool. There's lots of variety, put it that way, and a heck of a lot of rounds going down range when you're going through and doing those things. It's fun. And I probably left out a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, where are we? Videos. Oh, maybe I need to start from the. It's hard because the comments keep shooting up. Do look forward. Good to see it. Okay, that was that one. A wall stew pussy whip. I think, was that in regards to the my bad language? Yeah, it could have been too. Yeah, I definitely fell hard and quick for her. What videos reactions do we have to look forward to, Joe? Soon, Joe. Oh, good question. What have we got? I think I've got the Alan Jones one coming up soon, where he talks about the Yamashita standard. That was an interesting one on the back end of the Four Corners killing fields reaction that I'm doing. Man, he brings up some stuff in there. So that's there doing the Portsmouth Portsmouth Field Gunners. So finishing that one off, carrying on with the NZDF basic recruit training. I think that was 388, basic course 388 by the looks of it, or from memory. What else have we got? There's some other US stuff in that, and there's some UK stuff. Made a start on the Royal Green Jackets. That was a request that came through from the handle is RGJ5. So I'm assuming Royal Green Jacket. He's a former Royal Green Jacket infantry unit, but a very hearty fighting unit anyway. So that's been cool. And that's some of the older. It looks like it's probably from the same vintage as the Mountain Leaders course. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of other stuff. There's some Magnus stuff on there where he does the what's that bloody the Norseman bloody triathlon, whatever it's called, or Norseman Ironman maybe. So that's coming up. That guy's a freak, man. Magnus. He's incredible. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff. Hopefully that helps give a bit of an answer. That's to at AID aid 1705. We would get 200 SA soldiers crash in on our mess deck at HMAS sailing, and all the sailors would go ooh ah. It was funny as spewing I had an injury on my ship's diver course. That's hard case. Stirling, West Australia. Oh, sailing, Stirling, West Australia. Oh, wow. Okay, cool, man. Thanks for that. Hard case. In other words, it's all mental. Not sure that's from Dan. Yes, it's mental, whatever that was. He powered through. Have you ever been run over by a freight train? I've got a story. LOL. That's from Dan. When are the NZ Army boot camp reactions coming through? Their crack up. I've just staggered them. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to go into the content and have a look. Maybe next time I come back on the live, I'll bloody have a bit of a list of what's coming up in the next 5 or 10 reactions, so you have a bit of an idea. But yeah, I've been enjoying watching those. Brought back some good memories. The snow one, I think that's part 2 or part 3, where there's a whole bunch of snow there. That's where I first experienced snow on basic training in Wairu, and it was awesome. I thought it was awesome anyway. I thought about SES volunteering after I left Navy. I went to the information nights, etc., but they are cluster. Or maybe I was one. Hard case. BW Harris, the man. Hey, man, listening in as always up here in the far north. Appreciate you, Bazza. Thank you, bro. Sounds good. I'll be attending selection as a PTG operator looking to hop fences. How's this one? Dang it. Have you ever shot at anything that wasn't human? Is that for me? Yeah, I've pleased with respect. I have during the Australian combat survival course on cycle. I forget the name of the area where we were, but it was an awesome course. We were given 5 rounds for our weapon that we had within our patrol of a unzeroed weapon. So we got given 5 rounds, 5.56 for the Steyr as the weapon that we were given. It wasn't zeroed, and there just so happened to be that the instructors led us. We were being given an instruction on curing or smoking meat, or making or drying out meat. Different options, from smoking them to just drying it out in the heat in the sun, preserving it basically so that we could use some of it. We didn't get much. This was the instructors' meat that they had. But during the lesson, we got told to turn around by the instructor, and he's actually one of the instructors on the Search for Warriors. Kaz Merrick, I think is his name. Awesome guy. Has his own jerky. His jerky tastes awesome. He told us to turn around. We turned around and we saw a little group of goats that were there. Man, was it maybe, I want to say about between 100 and 200 meters anyway. So not massively far, but probably far enough for an unzeroed weapon. And given that when you crack off a round, if that doesn't scare them, go ballpark, and they run away, it's going to be more challenging to figure out where you need to aim off, because you're not having time to readjust the sights. So long-winded answer to your question, but I want to answer it because I missed the goat. I had 2 shots. missed. And then one of the other guys, one of the Australian guys who's still in the unit now, he was always a bit of a hunter. He'd go out hunting with a bow as well. I think he got pulled up at Campbell Barracks by one of the local civilian security during the checks because he was in camp with a bow and arrow hunting the rabbits and letting rip. I don't know if he caught any, but it was a funny story. I think he had to stop, so he went back home. He lived in the housing area. But anyway, he grabbed the weapon and he cracked off one round and dropped the goat straight away. And so we got to go and grab that, cut it up, and share it amongst those of us who are on the course. So yeah, that was pretty embarrassing, to be honest. So we still had 2 more rounds after because we had 5 rounds, but we never got to use the weapon again. So there was a stage where we had to hand that weapon back and the leftover rounds, and then we just had to make our own handmade weapons. So that's the only time I've shot at anything that wasn't human. And yeah, I haven't gone out hunting to use a weapon to think right or wrong. Like I would do it if I'm going to be keeping that meat and using it and feed my family. I'm not somebody that wants to just go out and hunt and shoot animals for trophies or whatever, and or put them up on a wall or anything like that. Personally, I don't see any point in that, but each to their own. Long-winded answer to that bloody question. Sorry, Dave. Dan, sorry. Hey, J. Cal and DJ Shipley's Paint Me a Picture video got reposted. I think you'd love it. Also, good morning from Liverpool, mate. Really enjoy all your reactions. Thanks for that, bro. Appreciate it. Yeah, okay. I have got, Jake, that Paint Me a Picture one. I have got that in my to react to list. So I'll get to that. Just a tip, all the comments are out of context because we are reacting to your vid as we see it. Yeah, and I using this new software, like the chat doesn't pop up on the thing unless I go and click on it. So I just stayed on the questions that I had and come to these at the end. AWOL Stu, my old mate, one RAR, said he got taken out to Croc crossings and had some red-eye practice up in the Northern Territory. Barbarians, that's the Crocs. Yeah. No thanks. Closest I've been, where were we? Was it Darwin? I think it was Darwin, in the place before crossing over into Arnhem Land, I think it's called. And when the tide is low, and just seeing the Crocs going and resting themselves on that that stretch where the vehicles drive across, it's like, yeah, I'm happy looking at those things from all the way back here. I think that's about it. Okay, live stream chat. Is that it? That's it. Oh, hang on. No. Oh, bloody hell. What have I done? I think that's all of them. Hey, thank you very much, everybody. It looks like there's, hang on, looks like there's 10 people on here. Yeah, look at that. Double the question that I got hit up with. Once we were warriors. Yeah. I don't think I was ever keen on. I was even nervous jumping out of the craft along Hillary's there in Perth for the parachute jumps into the water. Lincoln, the Aussies always made sure of making a point to tell the Kiwi to watch out for the sharks. Bloody bastards. Anyway, thankfully, no sharks came. Well, I didn't see any. But yeah, appreciate your fellas' time, mate. Anybody that's come along here on the live, and sorry if it's a bit dark. I'm just in the room. So flick this on. Eh, that probably didn't help. But anyway, thank you very much for your time and for your support. As always, really appreciated. Sitting here listening to me ramble on for over an hour. I just wanted to go through those questions. People are taking the time to send them, so I thought I'd try and cover off on them and then reading through your comments at the end. Yeah, much love to you all, eh? Have an awesome weekend wherever you are. Stay safe. Enjoy your time and your families. And yeah, and I'll see you on the next video, eh? As always, man, just whatever those challenges are that you or I or we may be going through, or people that we know, and just encourage them, eh? I encourage you, encourage myself, each other to just keep turning up, stay in the fight, man. And things can do and will get better if we want them to. Keep chipping away one day at a time, one foot in front of the other, as lonely and as miserable and as hard as it may be. Like things they do, and they will get better, I promise you. Sun will shine again. So anyway, as always, go always a little further Remember, who dares wins and who cares wins. And until the next video, there's a big mana wave coming from me to each of you, filled with my aroha, respect, appreciation, and gratitude for you all. Thank you, Zay. Appreciate you. All right. Where are we? Where's the bloody